Hey Worlders, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma and I am super excited to start reading in 2018. So welcome back to my channel. I'm actually really excited about this video. I did already try to film it earlier. I was running out of time on my battery and I just was talking too fast and was all over the place and I was like, not good quality, so I decided to re-film it. So I'm back to film this video. So some of you guys might be wondering what this video is, and I'm going to tell you guys what's on my want to read list for 2018, as well as what some of my 2018 reading goals are. So I have with me, I think it's 6 physical copies of books that are probably going to be read early in the year because I have physical copies of them. I do have a 7th one that I have a physical copy of. I just don't have it on me, so I won't be showing that. I'll like plop the picture in. And then I also have, I think it came out to 15 books, 14 books. So I have like 7 books that I'm going to talk about, that I'm going to put the pictures up, that are just on my to be read list on Goodreads, that are really just kind of catching my eye. I like went through my whole Goodreads to be read list, and they are just books that are really catching my eye in 2018. I'm not really going to give a summary or synopsis on the books that I want to read, partly because I don't know all of them. I might give you a little background into why I want to read them, but I'm going to avoid summaries and synopsises. But yeah, let's get started before this video gets too long. So the first book is the book that I am currently reading that I don't think I'm going to finish before the new year. I'm filming this on, I believe, the 30th of December, so I know I won't finish it before January 1st. I'm like 100 pages in, but it's called We All Fall Down by Natalie D. Richards, and I have been loving this book so far. I've read 2 other books by Natalie D. Richards, and this so far has been my favorite book by her. I'm kind of obsessed. It's really good, and this might end up being my book talk for January. We'll see. The other book is the book I don't have the physical copy with me right now, but I took this book out of my library and forgot that I had it, and I decided that I would just read it before, because I already have the late fees on it, before I bring it back. But it is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but I've heard mixed reviews on this book, and I saw it at my library and I was like, you want to know what? Who cares? I'll read it. I'll see if it's worth the hype. So that is the other book that I am currently kind of reading. I'm like 10-20 pages into that. I forgot that I had it, like I said. So that's probably going to be the 2nd book that I'm going to finish in 2018. So the next 2 I have the next 3 I have 2 of the physical copies, and 1 I don't think has come out yet, but it is Under the Lights by Abby Glines and After the Game by Abby Glines, as well as Losing the Field by Abby Glines. It's the 2nd and 3rd and then the 4th book in the Field Party series. That's in the wrong order. Now it's correct. I enjoyed the first book. It wasn't my favorite book. If you guys actually watched my favorite and least favorite books of the year, you saw that the first book in this series was the honorable mention of 2017, but I did enjoy the book enough to want to read the sequels. And these books are the kind of series where they're like intertwined, so they're standalones, but like the characters are referenced from other books. So I'm really interested, especially in Under the Lights, to see how much of a standalone this is. I've heard that they're standalones. I'm still going to try to read them in the correct order, so I'll read Under the Lights first and After the Game second. I probably will read a book in between them. I'm not a huge fan of reading series back to back to back to back. That might be an unpopular opinion. I don't know if that's normal, but that's kind of how I feel. I like a break from authors normally before I hop right back into them. The next book I have on my list is Emma, A Modern Retelling by Alexander McCall Smith. It's based on Emma by Jane Austen. My name is Emma, if you guys haven't caught that, but I really like my name and I really like the story of Emma, so I'm really excited to read this book. My mom read it and said that it was kind of slow moving, but I had bought it for myself and then lent it to my mom, so I have to read it now. Another book I have a physical copy of is How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. I'm actually going to link my Black Friday haul up above because I did give summaries for the next book I'm going to talk about, this book and the 2 field party games, or field party books. I think I gave a little summary of them. But this one has been on my TBR since the first time I saw it in Target, and I found it in a softcover at Barnes & Noble, so I picked it up, and I'm really excited to read that one. And then the final book that I have the physical copy of that's most likely definitely going to be read in 2018 is Emmy and Oliver by Robin Benway. I'm really excited for this one as well. It has a little bit of a Vanishing Acts by Jodi Bacall feel to it, so I'm really excited for these books. And then I'm just going to somewhat quickly go through the next books, again give you maybe a little reason about why it's high up on my list of books I want to try to read this year, but we'll get through it relatively quickly. The next one is Amy, Chelsea, Stacy, and Dee by Mary G. Thompson. This is, I don't know if it's considered a trope, but it's a plot that I've been seeing a lot recently, which is about girls who have been kidnapped and then come back. And I think it's just a very interesting plot, so I'm very excited to read that one. I want to read Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. I've heard so many mixed reviews about this book. I originally heard from it from my booktube queen, my favorite booktuber, Gabby Reads. So many of the books that she's recommended on her channel that I have gone on to read, I've absolutely adored, so I want to read this. She actually didn't give it the best review in the world, but the way she described it the first time she talked about it really made me want to read it. So Alex Approximately is still on my list. Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, another Gabby Reads recommendation. She compared it a lot to The Hating Game, which was my second favorite book this year, and I absolutely loved it, so I definitely want to read this one. Okay, this one I know I'm going to pronounce the author's last name wrong, so do not murder me in the comments, but it's Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. Is that right? I don't know. But this one I actually had gone back and forth about whether I wanted it on a TBR list, because when I first saw the cover, it looked like the fantasy covers that you see all over the place, and I was like, no thank you. It's been on a lot of people's favorite books of the year list, but I've also heard really good things about it, and I've heard that it's not really fantasy, it's historical fiction, so I was like, you know, I'm in for that. The next one is actually a series. It's the Off-Campus series that starts with The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is another Gabby Reads recommendation, but they do not sell it at Barnes & Noble, which is my main place that I buy books, so I'm gonna have to get it off of Amazon. So hopefully at some point I'll have like $40 to spend and I can use it at Amazon and get the whole series in like one foul swoop. I probably won't read the whole series this year, but hopefully I'll read some of it. And then the last book on my what I want to read in 2018 list is Losing Hope by Colleen Hoover. It's the sequel to Hopeless, which was a really good book that I read in 2016. I think if I had been doing my favorite books of 2016, it would have been #1. And from what I can tell, it kind of has that feeling of like the sequel to If I Stay, which is Where She Went, where now it's told by the male's perspective and it's kind of told in like flashbacks and present and flashback and present, which I really enjoyed. So I'm kind of excited to try to read that one this year. So those are the books that are kind of like my goals to read in 2018. Especially the ones I don't have physical copies of. I won't be like overly mad if I don't read it in 2018, but I really want to try to. Oh, and of course, sometimes, you know, you go to the bookstore and you see another book and it just intrigues you and like you're like, I need this book in my life, and books get pushed down or pushed to the side. So there's a chance that I won't read most of these books, but these are the books that are standing out to me right now on my TBR. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my goals for this year. So my 2017 goal was to read 15 books, and I read 10 books, and I got, hold on, let's check this. I got 35% of the way into We All Fall Down before the New Year's. A little bit more because I'll probably read it tonight. So we'll bring that up to about 45% of We All Fall Down and about 5% of Fangirl. So I'm going to say that I read 10.5 books this year. You know, I like that math. So obviously even with that math, I did not get that close to my reading goal. So when I was thinking about what I wanted my reading goal for this year to be, I was like, do I want to go and try to make it something that I know I can succeed with like 10 books? Or do I want to try to push myself a little bit and bring myself to the 15 books again and try to meet this last year's goal again this year? Or do I want to be cute and cliche and just a little bit almost cliche and do the 18 books for 2018? And I was like, you want to know what, Emma? You're that girl. You're just that girl that's gonna want to read 18 books in 2018. Like, it's who I am. So my goal for this year is to read 18 books in 2018. It's a little bit daunting to me. It's a little bit more daunting than I thought it would be, but I think I can do it. It's like number, I've been thinking about this, guys, since like the end of November. Like, it's been a month long of thinking about my reading goal. And I really think that 18 is a good number. I will be honest with you guys, one of the problems I faced this year was I went through a reading rut. I finished reading We Are Liars by E. Lockhart, and it was my least favorite book of the year, and I couldn't read again. I finished it and I was like, I can't read. Like, I was just like unable to read. I started to read a different book and it didn't work, and it wasn't until I read Until Friday Night by Abby Glines that I broke my reading rut. So I'm hoping that this year I either won't fall into the reading rut or I can overpower the reading rut a little bit better. I even talked about in some of my book reviews, I will link my blog post that goes with the best and worst video that has the link to all of the book reviews that I wrote. I mentioned in one of them or two of them, that I was really far ahead of my goal. I was always about 1 to 2 books ahead of my goal, which, if you think about it, until I went into my reading rut, if I was 1 to 2 books ahead, then I most likely probably could have hit 18 books in 2017 if I hadn't hit the reading rut. I definitely want to try to write all 18 book reviews, or a book review for every book that I read. I wrote them for 8 out of the 10 books that I completed in 2017, but one of them I didn't complete because it was right before I started the job I'm at now, and I just didn't have time during all of that. And then the other one was We Are Liars, and I hated that book so much, guys, that I could not put it into words how much I hated that book. So I wasn't able, like, I just wasn't in the mental space to write that book review, but I'm gonna try this year to write a book review for every book that I read. And then I talked about this in one of my other videos, which was my 2018 Where I See YouTube/goals. And I want to do book talks once a month, and it's not going to be wrap-ups or anything like that. I'm going to talk about the book that gave me the most amount of feelings, whether it's the book I loved the most, the book I hated the most, the book that I fell in love with one of the characters the most, like something like that. So we'll see how that goes, but those are my reading goals for 2018. I don't really feel the need to break the genres that I'm in. I go in for like suspenseful, young adult, and like romantic contemporaries. Really still feeling those right now, so I'm not feeling like I want to branch out into another genre. So the final thing I want to share in this video, because it's a little off topic but it's on topic, and I wanted to share it in my best and worst, but it hadn't been released yet, is my reading and review by Goodreads. Looks like this. So it has like your profile picture and all of that. So I just wanted to share some of my stats with you guys because I think these are kind of cool. So I read 3,588 pages across 10 books, which I know is probably not all that impressive. I'm not even trying to brag as that's impressive. The shortest book I read was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And the longest book I read, I haven't mentioned, I don't think in any really video, is As Old as Time by Liz Braswell. That was a really good book. It just didn't end up in my top 5 or my bottom 3. So the most popular book was We Were Liars, and 347,274 people also read it. And the least popular book I read was As Old as Time by Liz Braswell as well. And only 5,027 people read that book. Like, that's a huge freaking difference. That's kind of cool. And the average length of a book I read was 359. According to Goodreads, my average rating for 2017 was 3.6. So my average rating, when you look at how I actually rate books, was a 3.78 compared to their 3.6. So that's actually not that far off. Like, I did give some books some higher ratings than what Goodreads saw them as. My highest rated book on Goodreads was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, which I guess the highest rating, it was like the book that had the highest rating, which was a 4.23 rating, so that's a really good book, y'all. Those are my stats for 2017. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of all over the place, a little unconventional, but I'm a little unconventional at times. Also, you guys got to see a little bit of the types of books that I read, and I would love to get some book recommendations from you guys. Tell me your favorite books. Give me a little bit of a summary in the comments when you recommend a book, because I probably won't add it to my list if I don't know what it's about. But, or even if you guys can tell me it's like a book that I mentioned, that would be great too. I hope you guys have a great day and a happy year of reading, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, Worlders!